Hey, welcome everyone. My name's Parker with Route for Me, and thanks for showing up to this webinar. Looks like we've got some people trickling in here. Great, great, great. Yeah, looks like there's Doug, Alan, Jim, Amit. It looks like Amit. Yeah, you there? Great, great. Can you guys hear me? Just give me a quick yes in the chat, or kind of there's a little raise hand button. Good. All right, good. All right, there's a few people joining us still. Looks like we've got a nice little crowd on here. Very good. Let's go ahead and get started here, and I will be recording this, so if you would like to see it later, we'll be able to send it to you or shoot you to the right link to review it. And yeah, so today we're going to really just be talking about kind of the three essential components of a route optimization solution, and we really want to go over the top three reasons on what makes a route optimization solution a good fit for a business. So you can really judge and know if a route optimization solution has all of the components that you will need. So we'll go ahead and get started. Can everyone see my screen? I just want to make sure that you can. Go ahead and just chat yes or raise your hand. Okay, great. All right. Looks like Steven says yes. Very good. Welcome, guys. A couple of people still joining us. Perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. You can see I'm just at the routeforme.com homepage. Once you have an account, very easy to start an account. Just click begin my 7-day trial and go ahead and log in. You can see I'm just going to go ahead and log in here, and I got a few different accounts. I'll log into this one here. You just log in with an email address and password. Very easy to do. All of your different routes and users can log in that way. So probably the first of the three essential components is to have a very user-friendly dispatching. Despite being cutting-edge technology and route optimization, which is very, very complex, you really want to make sure that what you're using is very user-friendly. Obviously, it might be yourself using it, might be your employees, might be your coworkers. It's just got to be really simple and easy to use. So I just want to jump in real quick, show you how simple it is to create a route. So we'll go ahead and just plan a route real quick and show you how to do that. So a number of ways, but obviously there's more than one way to do it. We can just go over to what I call the blue home bar. Again, we keep things very user friendly, so everything you can access here on the left, the little vertical menu on the left, all of the different features you need. But let's just plan a route real quick. Click plan new route. And if anyone has questions, just go ahead and chat. Just type your questions into the chat box. I'd be happy to answer them. I'm going to try and pull someone on the phone if you're brave enough with me a little bit later here. And yeah, so just leave the questions in the chat. If you have any questions about it, just, I'll see them throughout the presentation. So, okay, so let's create a route. You can obviously upload a file, a spreadsheet file. We can import data from various sources like Google Drive. We can copy and paste a lot of data, or we can just quickly, create an interactive map. So for example, let's go ahead, create the route. We want to go through, we can change all of the settings. We can name the route. We can schedule the route start date, the route start time, the service time at each stop. That's the time spent at each stop. We can share the route via email with someone if we'd like to. We can set the distance. We usually want to use drive time optimization. That's actual driving conditions instead of straight line optimization, which you can do, but that's just really kind of a straight line as the crow flies. Drive time optimization is your best bet here. Now the optimization type, we'll just do a single driver route, but you can actually create multiple routes either through a balanced team route or a multiple drivers route. This one's really, really helpful. The multiple drivers route can take into account things like time windows, constraints, advanced constraints like weight, volume, number of trucks you have. Instead of just splitting it out equally like the balanced team route, which splits routes into equal parts. For example, you upload 100 stops and say, hey, split this into 2 parts for me. It'll create 2 routes. Multiple drivers route can actually say, hey, I've got 100 stops. I don't know how many drivers I need. Can I do this with 1? That'd be great if I could. And it will actually take all of the data that you input and say, yeah, you can do this with 1 driver, and here's what the route looks like. Or if you need, 2 drivers or 1.5 drivers, they can do that. So if you guys have questions about that, just shoot it in the chat window. Be happy to help with that. We're going to go ahead and do a single driver route, and we're going to end this route round trip. We can end at last address and specify last address, or end route at any address, and the system will choose the most efficient route at any address. We can also choose avoidance zones. For example, you can, draw on the map, say, hey, avoid the tunnel, say, or avoid this part of, the town, whatever it is. So you can actually avoid certain zones. You can choose to navigate by time, distance, current time with traffic. For most cases, I recommend time, and obviously we have driving or walking modes, and then any restrictions you can minimize or avoid, highways or tolls. So, if you do need turn restrictions, for example, you want to prevent left-hand turns, we can do that as well. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and, just call this, sample route, and we'll go ahead and create and proceed to add addresses. So, what we can do here is, just start typing in our addresses, and as you see, we can actually just start typing them in. Rochester, New York, it grabs it. I can start typing in 123 Main Street, and if I type in, Webster, New York, for example, it's nearby. It starts to grab all of that information. There actually is there's a 123 East, or there's a 123 West Main Street, Webster, New York. So the system's really trying to define exactly where that is. Obviously with copy, we're just kind of manually entering locations. I can, just select on a map. I can zoom way in, zoom way out. I can add exact locations like geolocations as well, and just add those, manually if I need to do any of that. So, okay, so we'll go ahead and just create a route real quick. This is only 5 little stops, but you can add quite a few stops. You can see that there's a weather notification. Currently in Rochester, New York, it's snowing, so there could be some weather issues. Maybe you want to add a service time slowdown. Maybe you want to have a travel time slowdown. So this is the travel point. This is the actual time it takes to service the locations if we have that data input. In this case, I'm just going to skip it. All right, so 5 little stops. We went ahead and optimized this route. It takes just a few seconds. It's going to draw everything on the map for us. Nice round trip. In this case, it's great. So it's very simple to create routes, and obviously most of our customers have a lot more data points. Should work just as quickly. Obviously we offer a lot of support, a lot of onboarding, training to make sure that you and your team know exactly how to use it. But you should be able to plan routes literally just that fast. So you can see we've got an activity feed over here, the optimized route. If we need to make any modifications at any point, we can always drag and drop. For example, we want to start, we want to go to this one, for example, first for whatever reason, or we need to change it. We can just drag and drop. So for example, this will make it out of sequence, or not the most efficient route, but we can go ahead and just let the system make that change. So you can see now it's changed the routes, and we're going to this one first. We should really go to this one first, but if we ever need to route or re-optimize, we can always just re-optimize the route and let the system kind of erase our changes that we made. So very easy to modify an existing route. Also easy to add in a location. So for example, we can just insert addresses. We can pick off the map and right-click and basically just add an address as well. Okay, so that kind of handles that. Of course, there's tracking as well. So as soon as you assign this route, so for example, you'll have your users. If I go to my team and users and I add a driver to the account, so I can push out routes to them, I can go ahead and click route. Excuse me, I can click edit and assign user. And as soon as I do that, my list of users comes up. So I can actually just say, hey, this is for driver 1, driver 2, or you can name the drivers whatever you like, click apply, and now it's going to actually show them. So, all right, and then once you assign it to them and they open the route on our mobile app, which I'll show you here in just a sec, it's going to actually show tracking. So this one is, we just obviously planned this route, so I'm going to go over to my routes list. Again, very easy to find, very easy to navigate and learn. I've got a sample route here. Let's see if we've got some tracking data set up here. I don't have any tracking data for the route we just planned because we just planned it, obviously. So no one was out there in the field. So tracking, we can see our users live on a map. We can also see route if we want to see the actual route itself. Let's go ahead and see if we have any data here. Great, looks like we do. You can see that users show up on the map with a little blue truck icon, and you can hover over it, see exactly who that user is, see exactly where they are, see the time that it last checked in, and the speed, email address, etc. So the green route in this case is the planned route, and the blue are the breadcrumb trails. So that's actually when the mobile device was checking in with the web and actually jumping in and saying, okay, this is where the driver actually went. So it's planned versus actual. So that's kind of how tracking works with kind of the breadcrumbs. You can see, hey, the driver went a little bit off route here, and you can have a conversation or just make sure that they went in the right sequence, of course. You can see. Okay. Now this is really super easy for your drivers to use as well. So everything gets synchronized. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and log out of this, and what we're going to do is just log in to a different account to kind of show you the mobile. So give me 1 second here. Okay, so I'm going to log into a different account, and for example, this would be an account that maybe an administrator logs in. They're going to create a route. They're going to assign it to a driver, and we'll just pull that route up right now. So let's go ahead here. Actually, let's just plan a new route and push it out to a driver and show you what that looks like. Let me see if I can bring this. I'm going to bring my mobile up on screen. So can everyone see my mobile on screen? It's just this is my iPhone. I've got the Route for Me app open. You can see, like, as I move it around, I can, open up different maps, check today's score, anything like that. But Route for Me app is right here. It's on iOS and Android, so you can download on iPad, Android tablet, whatever you like. You can see that there's nothing here. I am logged in as a driver. If I go over to my routes list, I can see that probably I've got some routes here. So test part 1 is a route. Let's just go ahead and minimize this mobile real quick, and let's create a really quick route. We went through all these settings, so I'm just going to call this, hey, can you see this route on your mobile? I spelled it wrong, that's okay. And we're just going to go ahead and quickly create a route. So let's go back to the Rochester, New York area, and let's just add a bunch of pinpoints. Add the nearest valid address, add the nearest valid address. Let's go ahead and go over to the zoo today. Looks like that's the zoo. All right, just a few points just to show what it looks like. Let's throw a few more on there. Maybe we want to do an exact location. That's fine. All right, so we'll plan the route real quick. We're going to ignore the weather notifications, plan the route, and push it out to a driver. Again, if you've got spreadsheets, it's going to be super fast to plan this route. So let's go ahead and plan the route. You can see we've planned the route. Let's go ahead and now assign this to a driver. So let's go ahead and assign it. I think I've got it just labeled as this one. Click apply. While I'm doing that, I'm going to bring up my mobile here. Wow, you can see even before I even had a chance to bring up the mobile, you can see that this route actually came up on the driver's mobile device. So, hey, can you see this route on your mobile? All the driver has to do is click on it and download the actual route. So that's it. You can see that they've got a routes list here that's very similar to the list over here on the left. And now the driver can actually do quite a few things. So everything's synchronized. So for example, let's go ahead and add something in. Let's add an address in. So let's go over to the map. We can see on the map view on the mobile, looks very, very similar as well. But let's on the web, let's say, hey, a customer calls up and says, hey, I need to add this address. Let's add it at the optimal position or the last stop, whatever you like. So it depends on if the drivers have been out there already. But you can see on the mobile immediately, there's no refresh button that's needed. Immediately, it gives a little notification and updates the driver and says, wow, you've got another stop here. So, and all that information is available. So if you said, hey, number two, I forgot, maybe you want to add a note to the driver, something special, or maybe you say, hey, I want to add in their phone number so the driver can call, 585-749-6532. Go ahead and enter that information, and that information will now be available to the driver. So if you click on number two, you can just click on info, and that information, the phone number, will be there. So that's kind of how it works. It's very simple. All the driver has to do now is click on the stop screen. Of course, they can use the map screen, so they can say, hey, my first stop, click on it, number one, and then if I want to navigate to it, I can say, hey, select desired navigation app. I can send it in-app, Google Maps, Apple Maps, or Two Ways app, and it will automatically fill that in and just basically start giving turn-by-turn voice guidance directions to the driver. Okay, so very simple. You can also do it from the stop screen, so people prefer different things. So for example, I can just tap on number one and click send to navigation. So it's going to send it to navigation. As long as I have these apps installed on my mobile device, it's going to present these options to me. So Waze is a really nice app because you can traffic. The really big added benefit here is that, if there is traffic, so for example, maybe when we plan this route number between 1 and 2, yeah, this was maybe the best way to go, but maybe there's traffic that we couldn't foresee when the route was planned. And since the driver is using our mobile app, he sends it over to navigation, gets live updated traffic, and now he's going to get the best route between 1 and 2. So he's not going to get stuck in whatever traffic might have popped up here. So that's a really big benefit. So. Very easy, very simple to follow, and any changes to the route, in real time will be updated instantly on the driver's side. So, for example, if we go to this, if the driver clicks on the first route or first stop in the route, says, "Hey, let's mark this as visited," you'll notice. I'll pull up the first stop here. You'll notice on the web there's there's no information here, so it's not marked as visited, not marked as departed. But as soon as we click on mark as visited over here, there as the driver does in the field, you can see that it reports back immediately. So not only does it report back, but you'll actually see it reports back with the date, time, and it actually is a geolocated timestamp. So as you scroll over it, you can see, hey, there's an issue here. What's going on? I can see there's some tracking info. I can turn tracking info off, but I can see that as I scroll over, it highlights where the driver actually checked in. And that's where I'm sitting right here today. So you can say, hey, what's going on? Why did the driver mark this as visited way over here? There's an issue here. So we need to figure that out. But it gives you a lot of visibility into that. And obviously, it's gonna mark as departed and detect when they visit. That's a little bit of geofencing for you. So if I just zoom real quick onto number one, if a driver forgets, for example, to mark an address as visited or departed, as soon as the driver enters this little green circle, and you can change the size or shape of those if you need to, so you might want to make these a little bit bigger. But as soon as the driver enters this green circle with this mobile device, it will mark it and detect this location as visited. And as soon as he leaves, it will detect as departed. So even if the driver forgets, we have geofencing to kind of ensure. Okay, so very easy to do. Everything happens in real time. And so if you make changes, driver's going to have a nice live manifest, so he doesn't have to call him and say, hey, write this down and spend a lot of time and maybe mess that up. So, all right. So real world situations, also you might be able to see traffic. So for example, you can look at some traffic and overlay the traffic and say, okay, currently right now there's a little bit of traffic going this way, so let's make sure to go along this way. You can also see current weather, so let's go ahead and overlay current weather and that come up here. So you can actually just see a little bit of weather here. Let me pull this out of the way. It should help here. And you can see all the activity feed here over on the right. You can see it's very cold here. 29 degrees. We just got a little bit of snow. And you can see all the activity feed here. You can see the driver arrived late to the address. The address was this. You can actually, if you want to, I'm not sure if you can see this on the screen, but if you want to, for whatever reason, you can actually send a message. So let's go ahead and pull this back up. Let's send a message to the driver and say, hey, what's up with with that last check-in. Go ahead and send that, and it's kind of like sending a text message to the driver, and it actually comes and says, hey, what's up with that last check-in? The driver gets a notification on screen. So it's like kind of easy to check in. You can also just say, hey, call me when you get a chance. Very simple, very straightforward. You'll see that your driver's actually driving, so you can actually call them. But very easy to send messages back to your drivers actually out in the field. So that's kind of one thing you can do. Also, there's if you look into all these details here, we have a lot of customers that need time windows. So, for example, in this first location here, we can zoom in. We could actually say, hey, this person actually has a time window, and we need to arrive between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. or whatever the time window is. We can actually factor that in and make sure that we're going to arrive approximately within that time window or at the best time, given all of the other stops. So we can optimize for time windows as well. And you can also show up to different interests. So, for example, let's zoom in on number 6 here. This is kind of a specific coordinate that we used. And so, for example, maybe we know that, hey, there's not like a great entrance for this one, and for whatever reason, maybe this is where we actually need to go, but we don't want to go over here. But maybe, so for example, we actually need to come in over here, and we're going to go ahead and add this address or add this exact location after the last stop or at the optimal position, and we can change those things. Let's do it at the last stop, and we'll very quickly show you. So you can see it's adding it at the last stop, and in this case we've got number 8. So you might say, hey, number 8 actually makes more sense, but it really should be kind of over here in between 5 and 6, and we can just delete the one that we don't need. So cancel it, delete it, confirm it. And again, all of this comes in the activity feed. There's no issues whatsoever, so you can kind of see, yeah, this is the actual where we want to be in, because the gate's here. So we don't want to go down Mortimer Ave for whatever reason previously we saw. So very simple and straightforward to do. So yeah, I think that kind of covers just about everything high level. And there's a lot of little intricacies you can get into, but you can see the system's very flexible. So is there anyone who, if you can just raise your hand and I'll enable your mic. Yeah, there's a couple of people. Any questions? And looks like Steven, I just enabled your mic. Are you there, Steven?
Hi, Parker. Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. Thank you for the webinar so far. I do have a question that I don't think you covered. When a driver is done with his route, how do you know that he did what he was supposed to do compared to route for me? How do you know that he was on time to all of his stops and marked as visited, and how can we view that information?
Yeah, so there's multiple ways to view it. One way that might be helpful is if you go to your routes list. Obviously, we can just turn on route tracking. This is a route that we just planned. Well, let me go ahead. So for example, you can turn on tracking. You can view your route users live, and you can see the all-time breadcrumbs. So for example, if I turn that on, let's turn this back over to map view. You're not going to see it too well. You can see I've turned on users. I can see that information. Just turn off the weather here. Obviously you can do different things with the weather. If you want to see radar, I wasn't lying about the snow. You can see all the snow that's here. So turn on satellite, turn on winds, storm reports. There's maybe a storm report in the area. But temperature, let's see if snow depth. Oh, a little bit of snow here. Okay, so yeah, basically what you'll see, Stephen, is breadcrumbs. So for example, I've got 2 devices in here. I can zoom in. You can actually see a couple of breadcrumbs. Not much because I'm not really moving around, obviously. But I showed it previously. You'll see a blue breadcrumb trail, and that's basically what you'll see in terms of the tracking. So all you have to do is click on tracking once you assign the route to a user. Click on route and click on the date you want to see. For the most part, you're probably going to click on all time if you're, planning routes every single day. And you can actually, view a movie of where the driver was moving around, or a simulation. So simulation, for example, is the route the driver should take. So if you can see the gray, here's a simulation. Let's go ahead and click play. Let's boost this up a little bit in speed, 50 times, 500 times. You can see the driver moving around, got a few service times, looking around, and you can actually track that. So that's the driver. That's what the driver should do, and then you can actually play a movie of what the driver actually did do once the route is actually executed. Does that make sense?
Yep, that definitely makes sense.
Great. Any other questions or? Oh,
Yeah.
one other thing. One other. I do want to show you this real quick.
Mhm.
So, for example, um, you can actually see. So, for example, if you want to pull up this route that we just planned, we can go ahead and view this on an operation matrix. So, for example, if you want to see, hey, the driver checked in, are they behind, are they late? You can see I've only selected one route, but there would be multiple routes here. So you can actually see very quickly, okay, this driver is late. He checked in late to that first address, and there's a little key down here. You can see he just arrived. All of these other points are unvisited, but it's turned red, which means this route is now behind schedule. So if you want to see nice green routes, and you can have, if you've got 10 routes, it would display all 10 very quickly right here. So you can actually see that. Any other questions, Stephen?
Yeah, that looks good. Is there any sort of reporting I can look at as well? All those options so far look great, but I definitely
Yeah.
like seeing the reporting as well.
Yeah, so there's our dashboard. Of course, before I show you that, if you want, really advanced reporting, or you want to really dive into the data, you can always export everything out as a CSV or spreadsheet. You can also export tracking history as a CSV or a spreadsheet. So you can always, pull everything out. We also have a really nice Zapier integration. If you're not familiar with Zapier, you can kind of Google that real quick. But Zapier is an app that connects our software up with other softwares. So if you ever want to pull data out automatically, you can use Zapier to do that. But yeah, you can actually just go to the dashboard as well. So you can say, hey, I want to see my planned routes versus actual. I can change the time period. I can export this as a spreadsheet. Let's let this load here. You can see, we haven't planned a lot of routes in this count. Total is one route, total stops, planned miles. Actual miles would be 0 because we didn't actually travel today. Um, and then you can also view your activity feed as well, and then grab that. So there's plenty of reporting. Just depends on kind of what data you need. So you can see all the activity feed. I know a lot of people like to keep this screen up just to kind of see what's going on. So for example, you can see the driver arrived late to the address. This is the address. If we click on it, it's going to actually take us into that route. You can filter by member. Say, hey, I want to see, what happened with this driver's routes, and you can say on this particular date and see what's going on. So a lot of ways to get that information.
Great, that all looks great, Parker. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, looks like anyone else have any questions? Was this useful? It looks in the chat. If you guys, yeah, it looks like a few people are typing. Excellent. Hey, great. I'm happy to help. Yeah, nice to see you again, Alan. Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad this helped. Great. All right, chat's good. All right. Well, with that, I think we'll just sign off here. And if anyone has questions, please reach out to us. We're always happy to help. And thanks for joining us on the webinar today. Everyone have a great one.